Episode 3 is finally released, and well, it's as bad as everybody told us it was going to be. Oh, these right here, just doing a little bit of foreshadowing, a bit of storytelling in the vein of the Acolyte. Well, in this such case, perhaps a bit more subtle, but taking a look at the reaction, because I've given it, 24 hours. I'm not doing a review of the episode. I'm just going to show you guys a couple of clips. I'm here for the backlash of this, because this is kind of crazy, right? Because we got the Metacritic for this specific episode, Destiny, if you will. Very funny. It's about a same-sex relationship, and you call it Destiny. That's a woman's name. I'm sure that's just coincidental. They have bigger fish to fry. Heavy emphasis on the fish, but I've never in my life seen a 0.7 for a piece of media. That's kind of crazy, but Metacritic can be a bit harsh. What about over on IMDb? Okay, what does IMDb had? 3.9 with how many? 51 or 5,500 reviews? Holy crap, man. Like, this is getting and who's Congo Nada? It is getting destroyed, and this isn't anything anybody should be unfamiliar with. Like a 4.1 on IMDb, okay? Series on Metacritic has that big old discrepancy, but a 67 critic score and a 3.9 user score. Yeah, that's perhaps a bit more balanced than what everybody else is simply using as a metric. The Rotten Tomatoes scores, the people that certify this garbage fresh, like Grace Randolph. So I will say that I think it's gonna be very hard for Disney to cast upcoming Star Wars projects because this level of hate just isn't worth it, even for up-and-coming actors like poor Lee Jung-jae, coming off of Squid Game, doing a great job on the Acolyte, and for what? Now, listen, I like my certain media reviewers, okay? I listen to my people if I want to have an informed take on certain things that I'm interested in. I will go ahead and listen to them. You can accuse me of being in a bubble, or you can take a look at people who are actually living in a bubble, because for all of the criticism, all of the critique, all of the takedowns that have been made against the Acolyte and Disney Star Wars in general, Lee Jung-jae hasn't been getting any criticism, okay? And people have been saying he's good. He's actually acting. He's emoting. Given the fact that the dude can't even speak English, he's phonetically reading his lines because this is his first English-speaking role, which I could argue is poor casting, but he's far and away doing the best job, and that's what everybody's saying. People that are getting hate for this show are justifiably the writers, directors, and actors for doing an incredibly poor job. But Grandmaster Squid Game? Yeah, he ain't one of them, so swing and a miss on that one, Grace. So glad that you're certified Rotten Tomatoes critics, and it's interesting, right? As Valiant Renegade points out, last time we talked about the RT score on this, it was in the mid-90s, and now it's kind of sliding right into that locked-in Disney score of low to mid-80s. You can take a look at any of the other highly divisive projects that they have out there. The two that are, I guess the four that immediately come to mind, Last Jedi and Rise of the Skywalker. Those are sitting right at what, like 82, 84? Seems to, if the shoe fits, wear it. Or for something else along the same lines to the Acolyte, you got Captain Marvel and the Marvels sitting pretty right in those low 80 scores. It's kind of a strange thing that happens over at Rotten Tomatoes, but in fact, that was captured, okay? Even at the time of recording, things might be a little bit different for you, but this is the live as of time of recording, so Wednesday evening, after all the dust is settled, and, well, the critic rating went up. Top critics, though, it's kind of hilarious. That's still in the low 70s. But all critics, though, where you can just go ahead, and this is proven, by the way, what was it, in a Warner Brothers court document or something like that, where studios will go ahead and pay upwards of $50 whole to critics to just simply go ahead and pump up their terrible project. But how do you go from, top critics, and if you want to take a look at the top critics, you're not going to recognize a lot of them, and even fewer still when you go to all critics, but the audience score at 21%. Brother, for as bad as that Metacritic score of 0.7 is, it's very rare that you see anything, okay? Like, I think even Zack Snyder films on the critic side, they even get higher than 21%. This is an all-timer right here. And here's the thing, man. You can only achieve this level of mockery, this level of temporary hate relevance, because yeah, if you go back to IMDb, okay, you can take a look. It's the most popular TV series going on right now, but also the Dragon Season 2 does kick in on Sunday, so this is going to fall off of a cliff. But whenever you do purposefully inflammatory shit like this, it never lasts, okay? Everybody was waiting. We heard all of the previews from the critics who had seen, and the ones that were at least honest, that, guys, this is going to be canon breaking. This is at least going to be the dumbest thing that you have ever seen under the umbrella of Star Wars, and it could end up being the worst piece, the singularly worst piece of Star Wars content literally ever. Now, I don't know if it reached that levels of depravity, but at least when it comes to the people looking at this stuff, being fair and honest about the content instead of going, yeah, it might suck, but at least you need to not attack the actors like what you bigots did against Kelly Marie Tran during The Last Jedi, which still waiting for any receipts on that, or how Daisy Ridley gets attacked. Just ask her. Actually, don't ask her, because she says, no, I've had nothing but a pleasant experience on Star Wars. But the shills will just simply go out there and peddle whatever story they think sounds correct. Facts be damned. But how are they going to spin this in a couple days' time, okay? Where you got the lesbian moms, okay? You got the lesbian moms that are out there, okay? Talking about the twins, I carried them, and then you got diverse space witch, I created them. And, well, how did they create them? By doing one of the cringiest rituals I think I have ever seen. Now, just go ahead, okay? I'll just do a Jedi mind trick on you right quick, okay? You know, this is not the show that you're looking for. Perfect. Now, you don't remember that this is a part of Star Wars, okay? And I'm going to play this clip right here, or at least some of it, as much as I can stomach of it. And I just want you to take a look and really assess this. And what about this at all whatsoever would even make you, unless you were, of course, aware that this is from the Acolyte, what would at all associate this to Star Wars? This is just, it's something.
Power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
Yeah, it's very, very dumb. And I need to, cut it up, because Disney, they're normally pretty good when it comes to, reviewing trailers and reacting to that stuff. I just don't really know what they'd end up doing with, this crap that is right off of their streaming service. But this is supposed to cost $180 million. By the way, these 8 episodes, does that look like anything that you would associate with a $22.5 million budget? Just a bunch of chicks standing outside of some dimly lit well, to be fair, this is all probably shot on volume, even though we were told, oh no, don't worry about it, it's all practical and stuff like that. Well, it's practically ass, but no, let's just let them chant a little longer until we cringe completely out of our skins.
The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
Yo, I'm dumbfounded, man. Okay, this is first of all, it's barely Star Wars at all whatsoever. You wouldn't know. You legitimately wouldn't know. Like I said, okay, unless I told you this was Star Wars, this came from the Acolyte, you hadn't watched this crap like so many people won't, you would have no idea. That looks like one of those bad B movies, okay? This looks like one of those things that people would reference at some point in time. Hey, did you see, I don't know, Medea goes to the dankest parts of the jungle, and there was this one scene in it, and they were just standing around chanting, and somehow somebody got pregnant off of the back of that. I have no idea how it happened, but that scene reminded me of that. But this is $180 million. This is a story under the umbrella of, at one point in time, the biggest cinematic franchise in history. It went from Luke blowing up the Death Star, redeeming his father, saving his father from the dark side of the Force, to space lesbians chanting. Congratulations, guys. We've reached the peak. And now We're just down here for the fall. The Acolyte makes a massive retcon to Star Wars lore, reveals lesbian space witches created life from the Force long before Darth Plagueis. You remember the tale of Darth Plagueis? I guess he learned about, extending and staving off death from the lesbian space witches. Unbelievable. In a sadly but unsurprisingly delivering on previous whispers, the third episode of The Acolyte has made an absolutely massive, ostensibly identity politics motivated change to one of the franchise's most pivotal pieces of original pre-Disney lore. Yeah, pictured right there is Leslye Headland. You underestimate my power if you thought that the worst was in the first couple of episodes. Oh boy, here we are. In the current Star Wars canon, the power to create life via direct manipulation of the Force is considered a near impossible feat, even for the most storied of users. So much that in fact, that prior to the Acolyte's third episode, there's only ever been one individual to reportedly, and that again was information relayed from soon-to-be Emperor Palpatine, trying to be, and definitely at his most manipulative, trying to get Anakin on his side. But yes, the infamous Sith Lord Darth Plagueis, who I'm still thinking that there's a chance. There's definitely an outside chance, given the fact that the Acolyte is set 100 years before the prequels, where they could be setting up and trying to ruin Darth Plagueis, okay? Like, if there's no rumors that we could get a Yoda key jangle, what is stopping this destructive, fat-necked Force that is Leslye Headland from further ruining and retconning the Force? You think it's bad? Like, right now, it's just laughably bad, okay? It's at a point right now where it's just, humorous to poke fun at it, but this is going to have long-term consequences on Star Wars. Like, after all the dust is settled and people figure out how bad shit can ultimately get, nobody's going to care about the next thing. This is going to have terrible knock-on effects, even worse than the sludge Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have put out over the past 5 years. This is something else. Going over the stuff that everybody has heard, okay? Even if you haven't watched the prequels recently, you know about this tale, the story of Darth Plagueis. Interestingly, in the no longer canon pre-House of Mouse Star Wars Legends era, right, the extended universe, it was established that not only had Plagueis actually been able to create life from the Force, but that he was directly responsible for the immaculate conception of Anakin Skywalker himself. So see, okay, the shills that are out there that'll say, oh, well, actually, in the EU, okay, in the Legends, which is not canon at all, that was one of Kathleen Kennedy's first decisions that she made, and then would later go on to lament the fact that there is no source material for Star Wars stories. What an ass. They'll go ahead and say, actually, it had happened before, and Darth Plagueis would have done it. But there's two things that you can say to that. Either this was supposed to be, canonically, the first instance of somebody using the Force to create life, or, number two, just because it was in the books beforehand doesn't make it any less stupid. But yes, running it back. So the honor now belongs to the newly introduced leader of the unknown band of Force-sensitive witches, who, for some bizarre reason, aren't Night Sisters because, of course, and Leslye Headland is kind of like the writer for WandaVision, had no idea who Mephisto was. Why would they have any idea who the Night Witches are? But yes, not Darth Plagueis anymore, who is one of the most powerful Force users. It is, in fact, Mother Anastasia, portrayed by actress Jodie Turner-Smith. There she is right there with her goofy little head gimmick, and more than likely you're going to see her under the helmet of Smilo Ren. It's either her or Asian Ezra Miller. Take your pick at this point in time, and I'm sure we'll get that great reveal. Episode 7, because I think episode 4 is supposed to be another flashback, or it's supposed to be something equally as cringe as 3. Then who knows what happens. It's probably going to be nothing if it follows the exact same template as previous Star Wars series, rather. But outside of the cringe factor of the lesbian moms creating Force babies, here's what the people are actually saying about this. Not the out-of-touch critics. Not the people just going, look at how stupid this stuff is. But just the average viewer, okay? 8 minutes into The Acolyte, episode 3, and I'm already done. I don't even think this is the controversial part. This isn't Star Wars anymore. I hate it here. Just read a little bit of this. This Whammon cult doesn't call it the Force because white old men made that up, guys. Get it right. It's the thread. Oh, yes, and because they're diverse Whammon of color, they're going to be so much more powerful. Just wait. Ooh, my gosh. Wasted about 8 minutes showing us how one twin is evil and one is good, then getting their hair done did, and getting told you're perfect the way you are by mom number 2. Now we're at a stupid ass ceremony. I see what we're doing. They're raising how special Anakin is because of Palpatine possibly using the Force to make Anakin, well, Plagueis, but that's fine. Like I said, normie right here. They won't stop until they destroy him and Luke. Look, Anakin, you're not special. The diverse woman of color created too. Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay, yeah, I guess power scaling due to intersectionality points. That makes sense. Honestly, the Jedi are trying to protect the children. Raffle. They're the bad guys. Remember that and just see if it sounds familiar. At least the donor mom allowed Osha to have a choice to be a Jedi. Wait, this is supposed to be appropriate for kids, and evil twin just told the good one that she's going to kill her because she won't stay. That's toxic. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, people, man, they're checking out and they're finding it boring and stupid, contrived and nonsensical. And then you got the hardcore side of things. Shout out to Star Wars Theory, who, if you take a look at the title and you take a look at parts of his watch party and then for his review, to say that he's upset by this episode would be a bit of an understatement. Palpatine had such a hard time cloning Force sensitives until Moff Gideon. Oh yeah, of course, another retcon by somebody who he likes to defend, and Dave Filoni, but don't worry about that. With all his power, knowledge of the Force, and unlimited resources, as well as the inability to create life, and Force-sensitive life, mind you, which is even more impossible. The Sith, Jedi, Ammonians, Mother Talzin, Witches of Dathomir, Darth, Plagueis, Anakin, and the Empire couldn't do it. Canonically, yes. With the extended material, potentially. Random witches pulling a couple of threads of the Force equals 2 to conceive, 2 Force-sensitive children, so powerful that the Jedi sense and track it down across the galaxy. And at what point do we just say, what the exactly? You know what point that is, Star Wars Theory? You know what point that is? Right now. And I'd imagine, okay, because this is going to be the aftermath of the aftermath. Like, we've seen the blowback. It's hilarious. 0.7 on Metacritic and the 3's on IMDb. But don't worry, guys. The theory is still certified fresh. And I think even the episode, is a 91% review on Rotten Tomatoes. They're so out of touch. But you'll probably see Disney say, guys, oh my God, the drop-off minutes viewed for episode 3 were tremendous. Yeah, because it's a dumpster fire. Everybody likes to see a car wreck, okay? You'll see most people rubberneck when they're driving past on the highway, but do you come back for repeat viewings to see if they successfully pulled the body out of the wreckage with the jaws of life? No, you just go on with the rest of your day, and that's ultimately what's going to happen with Star Wars. This is definitely what's going to happen with the Acolyte, but because now that they're just absolutely trouncing all over canon like we thought they would, don't let them forget this failure, okay? If you call yourself a Star Wars fan, if you have any sort of reverence for the OT, for the prequels, hell, even if you like the Clone Wars for whatever it's worth, or maybe you're, for some reason, a fan of the sequel trilogy, you take offense to this stuff in any form or fashion. If you look at that and go, that's not Star Wars, that's a poorly made fan film. There are higher production value, lower budget fan films that pay more reverence to the IP of Star Wars than whatever the hell Leslye Headland's fathead is doing. Go ahead and take whatever you want seriously, and then cast out and then hold it against these creatives, because Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni signed off on this, by the way, but Kathleen Kennedy thought that this was a beautiful Star Wars story, and now Leslye Headland needs to tell a Leslye Headland story. This is what they want, man. If this is what they want, this is what they're going to get. But you know what? Just because they're going to be ruining beloved IP doesn't mean that you have to continue to go forward with it. Just laugh along right now as things are going along, because it's damn funny when they ask you to come back around to peer again at the freak show that they've created. Just tell them no. It's all good. Leave it up to the reviewers to dunk on that stuff. Don't give them your time. Give the creatives that you actually appreciate and actually appreciate your input, give them your eyeballs. Because you're definitely not getting that from Star Wars. You're definitely not getting that from Lucasfilm. And oh boy, you're not getting it from Disney. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.